First story. I just found a cell phone video of my wife ducking her boss. I also found a dozen photos of boss being intimate with himself. I am the tyrant who poured beer on my wife's head when I found disturbing Zul letters poems buried in a closet over the weekend. Today, just when I was preparing to move past it all, I discovered a dozen or so pictures and videos of the boss, mostly of him being intimate. He sent them to our home computer, so I am really pissed off. Now, I am trying to think of something fun and interesting to do with these. Any ideas? He works for a very large, well-known company. Update. We've been married for 15 years and have small children. I just told her she can stay in the house, and I am not filing for divorce at the moment. My wife is going through pure agony right now. She's been the subject of a relentless verbal beatdown by everyone, to the point of throwing up repeatedly. She is so sick and disturbed realizing how badly she ducked up her life. I can pass along play-by-play details if interested. I am handling the wife. So, at the moment I would feel so much better by having the boss feel a little emotional pain as well. And my wife has marriage support. Without her health insurance, she may become fully paralyzed and could die. Update 2. I think I have a plan. But first, a question. If I put those photos and videos online and my wife gets fired by her boss because he's pissed with me, will our family have a legal case against the employer? I guess it really doesn't matter. I was just wondering. Update 3. His photos are going up along with the letters he wrote, his poems and other things. We're working on the website now. For the next few months, he will definitely feel a little emotional and physiological discomfort around his friends and family. Doing this is perfectly legal and makes me and the rest of the family feel much better. We'll be even in my wife and I will move on. Update 4. So we're writing content for the new site with carefully cropped and edited photos. We want to show just enough so that friends and family will recognize him. If we need to show more, we can always go back. I am feeling so much better already. He is going to be sick. I found out that he is very involved with a national kids program. This will cause him to lose his directorship. Guaranteed. I'll be happy with that. Maybe my wife can keep her job and health benefits. He'll be humiliated for the next several months. Done. Edit for the boss. Wayward boss. Glad to see you found this post. Sucks to be you. Doesn't it? It's obvious you didn't know me very well. What were you thinking when you sent those videos and photos to our home? Did you really think my family wouldn't see them? Oh my God. I am the last person someone like you, who constantly struggles with identity and acceptance, should want to duck with. And if you think this can't get any worse, you are so sadly mistaken. And frankly, more of an idiot than I thought you were when I first met you at Dave and Buster's. Instead of escalating things, try to be a bit more rational. Just think about getting some help. Here is some good advice. 1. Stop emailing your sick intimate videos to the homes of married women with families who might see them. In case you weren't sure, didn't know, or just forgot, the other female employee in your office has been sharing the intimate videos too. The consensus is, you're a bit small. 2. Instead of continuing to insult me and denying to your friends the fact that you have a serious Zul problem, why not take a more positive approach? Think about how you can get some help and begin to fix some of this. The directors and members of your organization don't trust you because you've only confirmed the suspicions they've had about you for a long time. 3. Stop referring to your wife as that fat B word in front of people. When we hear that from you, it only confirms our opinion that you have no class. For the threats you made to my wife in November were recorded and transcribed. Google Voice is awesome. Maybe you didn't remember or didn't realize it was a threat at the time, but it is definitely your voice on tape, so please don't deny that you made them. If that audio gets handed over to the authorities, we could take this to a whole new level. In jail. You'll be turned out the first day. So, let's not go there. Now, I know it's not going to be easy. You have that whole macho lover, Latin pride thing going on, but when you're ready to bring this nightmare to an end, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Start with this. Make a DVD with just the pictures of him being intimate. Mail it to a friend, co-worker or client of the boss with that person's address deliberately wrong. It has to be so wrong that the package gets returned. Of course. The return address is the boss. He'll go crazy wondering how many were sent out. The next step. Do this the following week at his office. Then have a messenger service deliver a copy of the DVD to the boss at a lunch meeting. The escalation. Create a set of DVDs with corrupted files and send the disc to everyone you know he knows. They will all call to let him know that they can't open the JPGs. This will really freak him out. By now he has probably come up with a plausible "my enemy photoshopped me" type story. It's a jealous competitor who I beat out of a deal. He'll think the worst is over and relax. Start the process again, but instead of sending out a disc filled with pics, send out a disc filled with the videos. Photoshop that motherducker. Get yourself an ex-wife. The end. That's hardly where I'd start or end it. Please remember the kids are more important than you and your wife. I agree 100%. If we did not have these kids, the whole thing would be a no-brainer. You are making a terrible mistake if you are staying together for the kids. In fact, the word terrible does not even remotely convey the depth of my meaning. Leave her and get over it. Or forgive her unconditionally and stay. Seek counseling if you cannot do this on your own. There is no emotionally healthy choice in the gray area. At all. If you attempt anything else, your life, her life, and the lives of your children will suffer from all of the bad blood and subsequent dysfunction. If you love your kids, and you can't forgive her, you must leave her. If anything, do it for your kids. All of your lives will be better. Getting her fired, getting her boss fired, or anything else you do out of spite or retaliation can easily have a negative impact on your kids as well. Like Okanistota put it in another post, anger is your worst enemy. Act rationally. Making decisions based on these emotions will be a mistake. Too long didn't read version. What you need to do right now is decide if you can forgive her or not. Nothing else belongs in that decision, not kids. Not the cost of divorce. Only your ability to actually get over it or not. Once you have your uninfluenced answer, find the courage to follow through. Stop wasting perfectly good beer. You definitely have priorities straightened out. If you're going to divorce her, I am assuming you will. You may wish to consider discussing this with your lawyer first. If you get a divorce, your first priority should be to make sure you make out as well as you possibly can. That means getting as much of your community property as you feel you're fairly entitled to. All of your prenuptial goods and wealth. And whatever custody rights for children that you want. Remember that she may not be a bad person, but she still cheated on you, and may do so again. So aside from drawing whatever emotional conclusions you see as appropriate, you should also prepare yourself to make sure you can assert yourself materially in a divorce or separation. Depending on where you are, there may be strong rules of evidence for divorce proceedings. The other guy. If he knew your wife was married, he may be a shitbag. But don't do anything stupid that could legally undermine your position. Extortion is illegal, etc. Also, pouring beer on your wife is lame. Love letters or not, the boss can be sued for alienation of affection. The injured party can recover monetary damages. Second story. My 26 male girlfriend, 26 female, emotionally cheating with her boss. We've been together since we were teenagers. For a long time she was the brightest, most caring person I have ever met. All I ever wanted was to be with her and create a healthy relationship. We've been studying for a few years in different cities, but still we've been able to keep in contact all the time, and we visited each other every week for 3 to 4 days, depending on the circumstances. She was the kind of girl who looked at you leaving with tears in her eyes and genuine sadness. And she showed love and affection when we met. We got our degrees and returned to our home city to start a new life. It was not ideal for me, as I would have better chances somewhere else. However, she'd be better if closer to her family. I decided that I can't be selfish, and I love her, so I will make sure she has the best life possible. For a few months, 3 or so, I was struggling to get a job. Which was not a big deal, to be honest. 3 months is not a long time to be looking for a good job. While I was doing that, she was preparing to pass her bar exam. She was studying law. She passed it and got a job at a law firm the next day. Her mother had connections. I was happy for her. She started spending a lot of time at her job, which I understood it was a new situation. She wanted to make herself look good in a professional way. At one point it was starting to get irritating, as she was not able to find time for me and could only talk about herself. Even though she frequently called, she never asked how I felt, what I was doing, or how was my job search going. We had a few arguments over that. We spoke less, as I wanted her to show genuine care for me. I wasn't asking much. A conversation a day is not a huge requirement, especially for a spouse. It should not be a requirement at all. It should be natural. Then I landed a good job and all was coming into place. However, she didn't even ask me how my job search was going. She didn't even know. I visited her one weekend and told her. She was semi-happy, but her reactions were weird. I told her I was looking at engagement rings one night, so that I could finally propose and do everything right with my own hard-earned money. She said she was happy and went to sleep. Then haven't had sex for about 2 weeks. She would get angry at me for little things. I had a weird gut feeling that something was wrong, and it was not me. One weekend I visited and found her journal on the desk. It was just sitting there. So it's not like I went snooping. It was not really a journal. More like written down thoughts. How she's worthless and she should kill herself. How she should not exist, and that would be easier on everybody. She frequently mentioned her boss in these writings. What he said, and how she reacted to that. At one point she wrote that she wanted him, and she enjoyed talking to him on the phone. These sentences were written down a few times in a row. Repeated. Quite frankly, I got angry and confronted her while she was in the shower. I told her we needed to talk. She asked why. I said she knew why. She asked me, terrified, what did you find? I said, you know what? I showed her. I was fuming. I called her names. How could she do that to me? She started crying and wanted to take the journal away from me. She said these were only her thoughts, that she did not do anything. I left. I cried. And I felt like I was dying. I felt like I lost my life and innocence. I loved her so much I'd die for her. I still love her. Does she love me? Who am I? Am I disposable? She's called and written to me initially, apologizing, saying that it was only thoughts she wanted to get out of her head in order not to think about them. Honestly, I felt that was crap, but somehow I believe her. Otherwise, writing it down didn't make any sense. We went no contact for a while. We exchanged letters. I told her how I felt violated and manipulated, betrayed and shattered. That I've given my all. Even though I may not be the most affectionate person, my love was true and factual. Expressed through actions and commitment, not crap words. I told her how she hurt me and how her death would be easier for me to handle than this. That she took away everything that I learned from her love and commitment and trust. She responded that these were only her thoughts. That she always loved me. But she had thoughts about love about someone else. However, it was not love, and she wanted to get her out of her system. Moreover, she said that she sometimes thinks things she doesn't like, or that are quite frankly idiotic, only to wake up the other day for them to be gone. She said the day I found these notes was the day she wanted to make us work again. And quite frankly, it is also probably true. She never asked for me to come during these 2 months or so. Except that time, when she specifically insisted I visit her. And I saw she was happy that day. Then she said she doesn't deserve me and she should burn in hell for what she put me through. I cried for months. I still do. I wanted to see her conversations with him. Honestly, these were strictly professional. Nothing really personal about them, and she hadn't deleted any messages. It's all Mr. and Mrs. and send that and do that. I kind of felt bad for looking at them, as there was nothing improper about it really. She doesn't use any other messaging apps. And her boss is I don't have a very good opinion on him. She doesn't now too, to be honest. He's older and not that good with tech. She talked to him on the phone for longer periods, about 5 or 6 times altogether. Nothing besides that, and the logs were not tampered with. She didn't even expect me to go through her phone. Overall, I've been a mess since then, and I am struggling with PTSD symptoms. My best friend is a therapist, and he helps a lot. Me and my significant other have decided to reconcile. And she's adamant about doing everything right, and she wants to show me how this was all in her head. The only thing I wanted from her is to go to therapy. And she said she will once she gets her insurance. Since then, she's been making it all about me. She stopped using Facebook. She only contacts me over it, even though I didn't ask her to. She doesn't stay at work more than she has to. She calls a few times a day. And we see each other whenever we can. And she makes sure to make that time for me, despite the fact that it often puts her in disadvantageous positions at work or home. We've had some arguments because I can't get over the feeling of being a second choice. I gave her a video about infidelity trauma. She watched it and said she understands now. And that she didn't know I could feel this way. In her mind, she didn't actually do anything. Honestly, we've been intimate. We've had a lot of conversations about the future and our lives, and how we can improve and be always there for each other. Unfortunately, I still don't know whether I am doing the right thing. Sometimes I think she might have had her doubts about her whole life, not like that excuses her crappy behavior with me and put them to rest in her own way. Only for me to uncover all of this crap. There are probably some things I forgot to tell. I just wanted to vent, and maybe some of you can comment. I can somehow relate to her feelings, as I had my share of thoughts like these in my life. It's just I deal with them by laughing at them and not giving a crap. I am a rather consistent person. I'd never do something against my own values. Even though we humans are flawed. And I accept that. If everyone could see their partner's thoughts, no one would be able to stay in a relationship. I don't think this is an emotional affair, because you saw her thoughts that were not backed up by anything else. Sometimes I think about quitting my job, but in reality I have no intention to. Sometimes I think about the idiot drivers on the road and wish they would crash their cars, but in reality I don't. And sometimes I think about my female boss making me have sex with her to keep my job. But it's not going to happen, and I wouldn't. And I wouldn't write that crap down, but if I did, it wouldn't make any of it more real. People have daydreams and fantasies that aren't real. Don't confuse that with reality. I totally agree with you. Unfortunately, she handled it badly in my opinion and should have gone to therapy earlier. For herself. I am pretty sure she will now that we can afford it. And those thoughts you're talking about, I do have similar experiences. And yes, they are not real. However, sometimes people confuse thoughts with feelings and reality. This is where things get tricky. And they would benefit from therapy. And like you said, if somebody read my mind, they probably would think I was insane. It still hurts though. No denying that. We both will need healing, but we're doing all the right things, I think. I am gonna play devil's advocate and say she wasn't cheating emotionally. Based on this post, I'd say it was a one-sided crush and nothing more. Having crushes during long-term relationships are normal. But they do differ to emotional affairs. If your girlfriend was truthful, she never acted on them. Hell, I doubt her boss even knew she was interested. I am not saying you shouldn't be hurt or pissed. Just that I doubt calling this an affair is justified. The only outlier that points to this being an affair is the fact that she wasn't comfortable sharing with you that she liked someone else. Not a huge red flag, but definitely worrisome. That's not to say that your behavior was any better. You blew things up. And even told her dying would be easier to get over than this. Which is completely inappropriate considering the circumstances. I honestly don't think dating in general is something you should be doing. Just my personal take on the situation. My personal take is that while your points are somewhat valid, I don't think you know how I feel or how someone in my situation may feel. Try having a worse period in your life. And the only person you trust seems to be ducking you over. I sure hope you'll love it and say that your own behavior wasn't any better. Wasn't trying to diminish your pain. Just stating my view of things. And I have experienced your pain. I reckon most on this sub have, although in my case the relationship was just over 3 years. Yet we were close friends before dating since high school. My ex's affair was a ONS. She came clean right off the bat. And yeah, my behavior at the time wasn't its best. Which is something I've come to regret since ending our relationship. Don't assume I haven't been there based on my comment. I stand by it. And again, wasn't trying to minimize what went down. Hence me saying I'd be playing devil's advocate. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.